Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for this video because today we're going to be doing a read with me. I've chosen a book for us to read together, and today we're going to start out reading the first chapter, and I'm hoping to make this a series on the channel where I can continue reading different chapters of the book until we finish the book together. And this is the book that I've chosen for the first book in this series. The Devil in Pew number 7. A true story. It's a New York Times bestseller. By Rebecca Nichols Alonzo with Bob DeMoss. Let's start by reading the back of the book just to give a little synopsis on what the book is about. When the Lord gets ready for me to leave this church, he won't send the message by the devil. Robert Nichols, 1975. Rebecca never felt safe as a child. In 1969, her father, Robert Nichols, moved with his family to Sellerstown, North Carolina, to serve as a pastor. There, he found a small community eager to welcome him, with one exception. Glaring at him from pew number 7 was a man obsessed with controlling the church and determined to get rid of anyone who stood in his way. The first time Nichols' family received a harassing phone call, they dismissed it. The same went for the anonymous letter that threatened they'd leave, crawling or walking, dead or alive. But what they couldn't ignore was the strategy of terror their tormentor unleashed, more devastating and violent than they could ever imagine. Refusing to be driven away, Rebecca's father stood his ground until one night when an armed man walked into the family's kitchen and Rebecca's life was shattered. If anyone had reason to harbor hatred and seek personal revenge, it would be Rebecca. Yet the Devil in Pew number 7 tells a different story. It is the amazing, true saga of relentless persecution, one family's faith and courage in the face of it, and a daughter whose parents taught her the power of forgiveness. Rebecca's harrowing account serves as an inspiration to us all. So let's go ahead and get into the book. What I'm going to do is flip the camera around so that you guys can look directly down at the book as we're reading and you can read along with me. I'm really excited to get started. I want you all to find a quiet room in your house, light some candles, get relaxed, get a comfortable blanket, Turn the lights down and just relax. Use this as a time in your day to fully decompress. Close your eyes and just listen to the story and enjoy the reading. I want this to be a nice, cozy night in, and I really hope that you enjoy chapter 1 of the book. Let's go ahead and get started. Author's note. Let me be clear about one thing. The story you're about to read actually happened, every last detail of it. As the plot unfolds, my hunch is that you'll need to remind yourself of this reality more than once. If you've ever required evidence to prove the adage, truth is stranger than fiction, look no further. To be redundant, this is a true story. In a way, I wish it were not. And at times, I'm glad it's true. Some of what transpired occurred before I was born, which, for obvious reasons, means I have no first-hand knowledge of those events. Likewise, there was a time when I was too young to comprehend the events swirling around me. However, my parents wisely kept thorough personal journals, thick family photo albums, stacks of newspaper clippings, an 8mm film reel, and a priceless cassette tape narrated by my father. Some of those photos appear on the opening pages of the chapters in this book. A list of captions is included on page 290. As if these items were not proof enough that this story actually occurred as I wrote, I had at my disposal my memories, a federal court transcript, and crime scene reports and photographs. I also conducted numerous interviews with those witnesses who are still alive today. These invaluable resources provided a trustworthy roadmap through the minefield that was and is my life. I don't share the following pages because I am looking for sympathy. Far from it. Rather, I invite you to travel with me to the very end where we discover perhaps the most disturbing part of the story. You and I have no choice but to forgive others, even if they are the monsters next door. After all, forgiveness is the language of heaven. Chapter 1. Walking, crawling, dead or alive. I ran. My bare feet pounding the pavement were burning from the sun-baked asphalt. Each contact between flesh and blacktop provoked bursts of pain as if I were stepping on broken glass. The deserted country road stretching into the horizon felt as if it were conspiring against me. No matter how hard I pushed myself, the safe place I was desperate to reach eluded me. Still, I ran. Had 1,000 angry hornets been in pursuit, I couldn't have run any faster. Daddy's instructions had been simple. I had to be a big girl, run down the street as fast as my legs could carry me, and get help. There was nothing complicated about his request, except for the fact that I'd have to abandon my hiding place under the kitchen table and risk being seen by the armed madman who had barricaded himself. with 2 hostages in my bedroom down the hall. I knew, however, that ignoring Daddy's plea was out of the question, and so I ran. Even though Daddy struggled to appear brave, the anguish in his eyes spoke volumes. Splotches of blood stained his shirt just below his right shoulder. The inky redness was as real as the fear gnawing at the edges of my heart. I wanted to be a big girl for the sake of my daddy, I really did. But the fear and chaos now clouding the air squeezed my lungs until my breathing burned within my chest. My best intentions to get help were neutralized, at least at first. I remained hunkered down, unable to move, surrounded by the wooden legs of 6 kitchen chairs. I had no illusions that a flimsy 6x4-foot table would keep me safe, yet I was reluctant to leave what little protection it afforded me. In that space of indecision, I wondered how I might open the storm door without drawing attention to myself. One squeak from those crusty hinges was sure to announce my departure plans. Closing the door without a bang against the frame was equally important. The stealth of a burglar was needed, only I wasn't the bad guy. Making no more sound than a leaf falling from a tree, I inched my way out from under the table. I stood and then scanned the room, left to right. I felt watched, although I had no way of knowing for sure whether or not hostile eyes were studying my movements. I inhaled the distinct yet unfamiliar smell of sulfur lingering in the air, a calling card left behind from the repeated blasts of a gun. I willed myself to move. My bare feet pattered across the linoleum floor. I was our family's lifeline, our only connection to the outside world. While I hadn't asked to be put in that position, I knew Daddy was depending on me. More than that, Daddy needed me to be strong. To act, to do what he was powerless to do. I could see that my daddy, a strong ex-Navy man, was incapable of the simplest movement. The man whom I loved more than life itself, whose massive arms daily swept me off my feet while swallowing me with an unmatched tenderness, couldn't raise an arm to shoo a fly. To see him so helpless frightened me. Yes, Daddy was depending on me. Conflicted at the sight of such vulnerability, I didn't want to look at my daddy. Yet my love for him galvanized my resolve. I reached for the storm door handle. Slow and steady as if disarming a bomb and allowing myself quick glances backward to monitor the threat level of a sudden ambush, I opened the storm door and stepped outside. With equal care, I nestled the metal door against its frame. I had to run. I shot out from under the carport, down the driveway, and turned right where concrete and asphalt met. The unthinkable events of the last 5 minutes replayed themselves like an endless loop video in my mind. My eyes stung, painted with hot tears at the memory. Regardless of their age, no one should have to witness what I had just experienced in that house, let alone a 7-year-old girl. The fresh images of what had transpired moments ago mocked me with the fact that my worst fears had just come true. I had to keep running. Although I couldn't see any activity through the curtains framing my bedroom window, that didn't mean the gunman wasn't keeping a sharp eye on the street. I hesitated, but only for a moment more. What might happen gave way to what had happened. I had to get help. Now, almost frantic to reach my destination, I redoubled my efforts. I ran on, to get help for Mama and Daddy, to escape the gunman. To get away from all the threatening letters, the sniper gunshots, the menacing midnight phone calls, the home invasions, and the devil who seemed to be behind so many of them. But I'm getting ahead of the story. I hope you all enjoyed chapter 1. I'm so excited to keep reading more in this story. I know chapter 1 left off on a pretty big cliffhanger, but I think it's going to be really fun to keep reading on subsequent chapters. If you liked this video, if you like this book, if you've read it before, please let me know. Like I said, I'm excited to continue this series and keep reading more chapters. And I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.